I'm RJ Nestor, productivity consultant and Tana ambassador. In my recent Learn Tana Commands course, one of the attendees, Dan, asked me how he could automatically trigger David Allen's natural planning model questions whenever he starts a new project in Tana. He wanted an AI chat to walk him through the planning process and populate his project fields. This video is the clip from the course where I built that into a Tana supertag. It's surprisingly simple to create, and the idea applies to a lot of different possible workflows. So here's how it works. I'll just call it Dan project. That way we'll know what we're doing here, and we have a separate one to do it. And for the sake of this, I'm not even going to extend my own project here because we can just add. What were the questions again, Dan? Remind me.
Why are you doing this, or why are you taking this on? Yeah. And then what is an unbelievable outcome? I forgot what his exact language is. What would be an outstanding outcome? What are the minimum criteria? What are the minimum criteria for success? And then ideas to organize. What are some ideas that you want to organize?
Okay, so we've created our frame here that our AI can work with. So now let's hop down. I did all of that just for the record, since I know I go fast here. I went into the configuration, I went into the content template, and I just created those fields. And the nice thing about Tana fields, although we tend, when we think about database fields and things like that, to be sort of, succinct in what we put in there, there's no real reason you can't just put the full language of what it is that you need this to be in the context of this. So I did that there. And then I'll hop down here, and we said we wanted this to be on added. So what I really want here is a command that fires an AI agent. So let's call this our chat with David Allen. That'll be fine. Convert to command. And here we'll put our start AI chat. And this will give us our opportunity to create the agent. And our agent will be David Allen, I guess, in the logic of what I've created here. So we'll say convert to agent, and we have this. Not far off from saying answer as an expert management coach here. But what we'll do in our system prompt, you are David Allen, creator of
he specifically calls it the natural planning model, I think.
Okay. You are going to work through the natural planning or panning. Natural panning model is when he seeks your project and says, this sucks. He's going to pan it for you. So the natural planning model, does he abbreviate that as NPM? Or
first of all, that's my wife. we should call the agent my wife.
You are Dan's wife. You're going to do the natural panning model. No, so you work the natural planning. I'll just do this with me by asking the following questions. And since I have those questions already up here, let's go ahead and grab them. I have Raycast operating in the background here, so I can just copy the four of them one after the other here, and use Raycast to get at my clipboard history rather than having to buy back and forth there. And then the last one wasn't really framed as a question in our thing here. I'll change it to what are the ideas I need to organize or something like that. Ideas I need to organize to get something like that. And let's say ask each question separately. See if we can get to do that in our conversation. Okay. And then our initial prompt, I mean, it's not terrible to give it to the context of the project, but this is on added, so there really isn't going to be any context of the project at that point. So I'll just put it, I'll say here.
Unless it's a sub-project of an existing project. But
at that point, I don't even know how to get at that context for the very reason that I showed you a moment ago in my own the way that's built. So I'll just say this is the project we're working on. At the very least, that will give it the name of the project, which is not not unuseful as far as that goes. Okay, start asking the actual planning model questions. Okay, great, and we'll leave. We'll give David it's an ever so slightly higher than bland responses here, and then I'm going to wait on this command. Let's test this much so far before I add our command to it here. So let me jump back to this here, and let's see what's a good project name. Dan, you have anything in mind?
Learn Tana Commands.
Learn about commands in Tana.
In Tana.
Dan project. Okay, so clicking that opens our chat. Great question. First question. Why are you doing this? Okay, so good start. We're in here. Why are you doing it, Dan?
To make myself a more effective Tana user.
Okay, great. Excellent. Now, what would be an outstanding outcome for this project? And actually, I'm just going to stop us right here because we made it far enough to know this is functioning the way I wanted it to function. Exactly. So let's now search for the second half of this. Oops, not that one. I want. Sorry, I can't see things because you all are on my screen here. Hang on one second. There we go. I always enjoy watching it when I have that issue with clients who are working and I just see their mouse moving around the screen and I'm like, oh, they're moving things I can't see. I was moving things you couldn't see, which makes me sound sort of crazy, actually. Okay, so what we wanted to add the ability to have a command here in this menu that will take the information from the chat and use it to autofill these fields. So now I'm thinking through the autofill itself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think through how do I get the context of the chat into its AI command. I think let me just mess around here for a second. Let's make ourselves a new command. Add chat content to the fields for the project. Call command. I clicked the wrong button. There we go. I'll give myself a little more screen real estate here. That actually didn't help at all. Why did that? That was the opposite of more screen real estate. Let's just open David Allen as our here, and then I'll give me the space that I need. So I want to insert let's try autofill fields since it's the most logical and I mean it should be very straightforward since these questions and the field names are practically identical. There are no fields I need to exclude. I don't want to change the title because that would change the name of the project. So I think the only place I think I want to put, will that work though? Because content and fields are not the same. Is there okay? Chat. That won't use the chat. Let me try this. I'm not sure this is going to work, but I'm going to try. There may be some other ways to pull this off. I'm going to try putting here. Oh, this says it's only for. It's not used for the autofill parts of it. Okay, it's only used for voice capture from mobile. Okay. So how do I get the information into it from the chat? Will it just automatically know that I want to use the chat because it's at the bottom of the chat? I don't know the answer to that. Let's try it as is. I'm not super bullish on this working. But I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it anyway. Okay. Let's see. Learn commands. Open our chat. Why are you doing this? To be more effective. Tana, great. What would be an outstanding outcome for this project? I would be a master of Tana Commands. Sorry, the screen real estate makes it hard to follow, I know. What are the minimum criteria for success in this project? I would understand the mechanics and see many possibilities for using Tana commands. I'm pleased that my typing's still working for me, given how much I dictate nowadays. I use a lot less typing than I used to. What it is you need to organize to get started. I'm going to leave that one alone for right now. Let's go to Ed. See if this actually
works. It works. It works.
Yeah, it sure as heck does. I like that Angus beat me to the punch here.
Because you work in sentences and I just use one word. So.
There you go. Exactly. Okay, lovely. And so yeah, that's it, Dan. There you go. We just built it. Or I mean, I guess I just built it, but I'm very happy to include all of you in the build of it, given that we were on the workshop. And so, obviously we did it in a rather rudimentary way, but it's, you could do it and you can answer with a lot more elaborate questions and get, those things filled into that field. So to kind of walk back through it, what we did, because there were several steps to it, even though I moved through it fairly quickly. The first thing I did is I created the project. And if I were doing this in my, for real, I would either add it to my primary project or extend for my existing project with some sort of specialized one. But from within there, I added the questions as fields. That's what was going to give us our targets for our autofill fields that we used there. And then the command I actually built within on add it, because that's what means that when you add the super tag, you're going to be fired right into this chat. The chat is a command with one lower level command, start AI chat, which allows us to access agent David Allen. And David Allen, in our AI prompt, we explained that we're talking about natural planning model. We gave it the 4 questions to ask. I asked it to ask each set of questions separately, which it did without hesitation each time we tried it there. I said, this is the project, gave it the context, start asking the questions. That's the initial prompt. I haven't been bothering with chat greeting, because if I give it an initial prompt with the information over, it's going to give me a greeting anyway. It's just not going to have a generic, a generic no AI touch greeting to it. And then in our commands at the bottom, I added this for autofill fields, and I didn't do anything inside autofill fields, because as you saw me looking to see if there was a way to reference the chat. Didn't need to. It referenced the chat automatically from the context of the chat. I didn't want to change the title of the node because that's the name of the project anyway. You could have it do that if you really wanted to, but all it is autofill fields, and then that adds that button to the bottom of the agent, so that when you're done answering the questions, click the button. And straight away, it'll put, it's autofill the fields here from that, which I think, that's pretty cool.
Thank you. That is very cool. I wasn't expecting you to do it on the fly.
Well, have you met me, Dan?